everyone and welcome back to Stylish Naija YouTube channel. I want to say thank you to all of my subscribers. Thank you guys for subscribing to my channel. Thank you for your love and for your support. I appreciate each and every one of you that have supported this channel. I actually don't take it for granted. If you are new to the channel, you are highly and very welcome. If you have not subscribed, please, I would appreciate if you hit on the subscribe button. Okay, so in today's video, I'm going to be showing you how to cut and sew this hip dress. So you can see it has a welt pocket and then it has a collar also. So that's just what we are going to learn how to do today. It is a beautiful piece. So these are the fabrics that I'm going to be making use of. I'm making use of an Ankara fabric. So I have about 2 years of the Ankara here. And then I'm making use of this doll face satin. That's what we are going to use to do the collar. So normally it is a simple dress. I should mark directly on my fabric, but if you notice my fabric is kind of colored, so I'm going to use, because of the shape, so you'll be able to see how to achieve that shape. So that's why I'm going to be making use of a pattern paper, so you'll be able to see it before I transfer it to the fabric. Okay, so now let's get started. I already have some lines on my pattern, so I'm going to just explain the line. So the first line I have here is my shoulder line. And then this second line here is my bust line. I have my under bust line, and then this one is the hip line. And then of course the last line here is the full length of my dress. So it is a short dress. So the measurement I'm going to be making use of the shoulder across back measurement is 16. That's from the center back is 16. Is a cut together sleeve. And then the full length is 36. And then the waist is 38. And then the bust part, I'm going to be using 40 inches. So these are the measurements that I will make use of. So now let's just get started. Okay, so like I said, the first line here is our shoulder line, which is like the across back measurement line. And then this one is the bust. This is our under bust. And then this is our waist line. And then this is our hip line. So we're going to mark all of the measurements now. So the across back, when you put your tape on the center back plus the sleeve, I'm using 16 inches for that. So this is 16 inches. I'm going to add just 1 inch to it for stitching allowance. So from this point, I'm just going to come down by 1 inch like this. And then after coming down by 1 inch, that 1 inch, I'll just slope it into the line, into the shoulder line. So from this point now, I'm going to mark our sleeve opening. So for the sleeve opening, I'm going to use about 8 inches. So I'll just use, so what I have here is about 8.5 for my bust line. So I'm just going to leave it instead of using 8 inches. So I'll just use the bust line as my sleeve opening. So I'll mark it like this straight. I'll connect it to the bust line. So from this bust line now, I'm going to try and measure my bust measurement. So for the bust measurement, I said I'm using 40. So when you divide 40 into 4, you have 10 inches. So this is my 10 inches here. And then I'm just going to add 2 inches allowance to it. So that 2 inches allowance, here is what I'm going to do. So from this point, I'm just trying to, okay, let me use my pattern curve. Just create like a slight curve to meet. Okay, so you can see just a slight curve to meet my bust measurement. So I have that there. And then the next measurement I'm going to mark is my waist measurement. So the waist is 28. When you divide 28 into 4, I'm going to have 7. So this is 7 inches. And then I'm going to add allowance of about 3 inches to it. So from this point, I'm just going to connect this like this. So you can see the shape. So you need the waist part really snatched into it. We're still going to snatch that part a little bit. And then the next measurement that we're going to measure now is the hip measurement. So for the hip, if you notice, the hip is a free measurement. It is not something that is tight. So for this hip measurement, I'm just going to go ahead. I'll use about 15 inches. So here's what I'm going to do. So from this point, I'm going to create a curve. So once I get to this point where the hip part is, I'm going to create something, because it's the hip, when you are doing a hip dress, it's like a triangle around the hip area. So from this part, I'm just going to just elongate it a little bit like this. So you can see what I have. So I just elongated it a little bit. I elongated it. So once you get to that hip line, from this hip line, I'm going to make something like a cage. It is not like straight like this, you understand? So I'm just going to make something like a cage. So for this part, what you are going to use to determine the measurement is how wide you want the down part of your gown to be. So that's what you are going to use for this part. So for this, I'm going to use about 19 inches. So from this part now, this is what I'm going to do. So this part, there are some patterns that you can decide to make it straight. You understand? Why some patterns you can decide to curve it a little bit. So for this, I think, well, I'm going to curve it a little bit. So I'm just trying to meet it up to that point. So you can see the shape of what we have now. You see it's looking like that dress that the designer was putting on. So I'm just going to adjust my camera so you see it properly, so you can see how the shape is looking like. So this is how you actually do a hip dress. So it's always good for you to use a pattern, so with that it will be easier for you. So you see, that's how simple it is. So what I'm going to do now, I'm going to transfer this to my fabric. So for this waist part, if I want it snatched in more, what I'm going to do, you know, I'm using 14 inches, which is 28. This is 14. So around this waist part, I can come in as much as I can. Just use just 1 inch allowance. So in doing that, here's what I'm going to do. From the bust line, I'm just going to curve this more. Just try as much as I can. Just give it a nice curve into that part and then just float it into this part. So with that, you have so much tightness around this waist part. So just like that picture there. So the next thing, I'm going to transfer this. So we'll transfer this before I cut out the neckline. So I'll just go ahead, I'll transfer it to my fabric. Okay, so if you notice, I finished cutting it and then I cut out the back and the front. So if you notice, the back has an allowance because the neckline is small. So if you don't add a zip to it, you won't be able to pass it on. So we're going to add a hidden zip, that's an invisible zip sort of in on this dress. So the next thing we're going to do now, I'm going to cut out the neckline for both the back and the front. Okay, so for the neckline, in order for it to make you understand it, so I'm just going to leave my pattern on it and then I'll work with the pattern. I'll measure, I'm using 3 inches, that's for the width of the neckline. So this is 3 inches here. And then for the back depth, that's the back neckline, I'm going to use about 1 inch. So that's 1 inch for the back neckline. So this is the back neckline. And then for the front neckline, it depends on how deep I want my collar to be. So that's what I'm going to use for the depth. So if you notice, the collar ran to almost like the waistline point. So I'm going to mark it on the waistline, which is about 13 inches, like that. So the next thing now, so I've marked the round neckline for the back. And then for the front, I'm just going to come in by 1 inch like this on this part. So you see I came in by 1 inch, so I'll just mark it in like this, and then this I'll use to create like a V neckline. Okay, so you can see what I'm doing. So I'll just mark that part like that. So you see, so I'm going to take this off for the front and then take this out for the back. So let's take out the back one first. So that is for the back. So the back has a zip, so we're going to open it up. So I'll just open it up, I'll join it back. I'm not adding a line into this dress. I'm just trying to mark the wrong side. And then this is for the front, for my front piece. So I'll take my front piece, I'll just place it like this, and then I will cut this out right now. Okay, so at the end of the day, you can see how our front is looking like. So the next thing, I'm going to cut out the collar. So for the collar, I'm just going to use my straight, I'm going to use a straight piece. So I'll iron it first and then come back and show you. Okay, so after cutting, this is what I have. So I'm going to continue now. So I've added my pocket. So for the pocket, I actually did not show it. I'm going to show it in another video. Why I did this, because I'm making this white pocket, it takes a little bit of time, so and I don't want to rush it, so that is why I did not show it. So I'm going to upload the video separately so you can learn how to do the pocket. It is more detailed instead of rushing it in this tutorial. Okay, so that's why I did not do that. So the next thing now, well, I'm going to go and join the back on the zipper allowance part. So I'll close it and then come back and show you how to add the zip on this piece. Okay, so I've joined on my zipper allowance. This is my back piece. I've closed my zip allowance part. So the next thing, I'm going to show you how to fix this kind of zip. That's when fixing a zip for dresses that have collars. So we're just going to open up this part. Okay, so you can see, so I've opened up my zip part. So if you notice, I just left 1 inch from the neckline. So I left about 1 inch because of my collar. I don't want to go in, so I left about 1 inch. So by the time you open, you see this part, it will be open, it will be free, and then you'll be able to put the dress on. And then I'm going to take my zip like this. I'm going to place this zip in like this. This is how this zip is going to stay inside. It's going to be an invisible zip it's going to be covered. And then I'm going to take this back to my machine. I'm going to stitch. You understand? So the zip is going to be covered. I'm going to stitch it down. So I'm just going to pin it. I'll pin the other side down also. I'm just trying to make sure it does not have a bulge. I need to be careful so it doesn't have a bulge. So I'll iron it down and then I'll take this back to my machine. So you can see that my zip is covered. You can see it is not showing. So the only thing that is going to show here is a stitch. So I'm just going to stitch it. So when I want to stitch it now, I'll take this back. So most times I like stitching from the right side. Why I want to stitch from the right side? I want to be able to control my machine and then control my stitch. So this is the zipper head now. You can see the zipper head is outside, and then I'm just going to take this. I'll leave the zipper head outside like this. Oh, I'm so sorry about that. So this is the zipper head now like this. So I'll take this back to the machine and then I'll just give it clean stitch on top like this. I'll just stitch it and then stitch it around back to this point like this. Okay, so after pinning, this is what you will have on the right side. This is what you will have after pinning this. So you can see just the zipper head is outside, and then I'll place this in like this, and then most times I like stitching from this right side. I'm just going to give it a clean stitch like this. So it's only my thread. You see the thread is going to show, but the zip is not going to show. So I'll go and do that, and then before we cut out, after joining, I'll join the shoulder. That's the back and the front shoulder together. I'll just join my dress, so I'll join it on the shoulder and then join the side before we cut out the collar. Okay, so I finished fixing the zip just like I said, and then I've joined the shoulder part together, so I didn't join the sides together. So the next thing now, I cut out strap for my sleeve. I'm just going to use this strap to turn out my sleeve. So I just use the width of the sleeve, and then I'll just stitch it on it. So what I cut out is about 2 inches. So you can do that just like what we have. So the next thing, I'm going to measure round the neckline for me to get my collar. So you just place your tape around and then just measure around. So when I did mine, I got about 32 inches round. So the next thing now, just cut out a long strap. Depends on how wide you want your collar to be. That is what you will use to cut this out. So mine is about 6 inches. On fold, it will now become 3 inches. So it is a simple process. So literally what I'm going to do, I'm going to fix this collar. See, it's like this. So you can decide to sew it and turn it to have neat edges, or at the end of the day just serge it. So I'm just going to place the center part on those back neckline parts like this. So you just iron it flat down. So I'll iron it. I'm just explaining first, and then I'll pin it around to this point. So once I get to this point, I'm going to stop. I'm not going to do anything here. And then this other one also, I'll pin it up to this point, and then I'll stitch it. I'll just secure it down. But this part, I'm not going to do anything. So I'll do that, and then I'll bring it back and show you how it will look like. So I'll just stitch it like this to this point. That's what I was just trying to explain to you, and then do the other one also to this point, and then I would stop and then bring it back. Okay, so you can see I have finished fixing the collar just like I explained. So you can see it, I just fixed it normal. So the next thing on this part, you remember the part where we created that small slant V? What I did, I just stitched it down here straight, so you can see how the inside looks like. You can see, just stitch it down just to secure it, because the collar is going to lap on top of each other. So the next thing now, this one here, you are going to take this and then you cross it. However, that's like you lap it on top of each other. Depends on how you want, depends on how much covering you want. So you just lap it on top of each other. So I'm going to use my pin to pin it. And then this comes on top of this point here. This remaining one here, this one on top, is going to have a top stitch. So you are going to determine how, depends on the shape you want to give to the collar from the down part. So this part like this, you're just going to shaping it how you want it to be, how you want the down part to be. So just like made that V kind of shape at the down like this. So you can see what we have. And just make that V shape at the down, making sure that this comes on top of this. And then this remaining one, I'm going to take this back now, and then I'm going to fold this edge like this. And I'm going to fold it. I'll fold this to this point and give it a top stitch from this point like this, and then like this, and then like this. So just make sure it is folded, and then the whole of this part, just give it a little top stitch just to secure it properly. So I hope you can see what I'm trying to explain, to make sure to secure it. So I'll fold it in properly and neatly and nicely. Use your pressing iron to do that. So I'll go and do that, and then I'll bring it back and show you the final look of my dress. Okay guys, so at the end of the day, you can see how our hip gown looks like. It actually came out fine. the pockets came out fine. So like I said, I'll upload the pockets tutorial separately because it is very detailed. So if I added it to this video, it would be too long. So thank you so much. If you find this video helpful, please hit on the like button, and if you have not subscribed already, subscribe to Stylish Naija YouTube channel. Thank you so much. I'll see you in my next video. Bye.